Shalom. I'd like to start out by giving all glory, praise, and honor to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakakwadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of the Great Millstone, and Shalom to the elect of Israel. This is Thamayim in Atlanta, and I've got this Zero Hedge article pulled up. And it says BLM 2.0 question mark. So questioning this, what's happening right now at the college campuses with all these pro-Palestine protests that are going on. It says, will campus chaos across America's woke universities spread to the streets? And in the beginning it says BLM 2.0 because he's asking a question, and he's showing that these two are actually pretty similar, the Antifa and the BLM riots with these campus riots that are going on right now. And he's saying that because of the sponsors and who it appears as if we're sponsoring this. And he even gets to it a little further down in the article. But he says, and it's right here, it says, in recent weeks, student protests, some funded by George Soros, have erupted throughout some of America's wokest universities and colleges. Students and or possibly paid agitators have erected around-the-clock encampments at Columbia University in New York City, Yale University, New York University, Harvard University, University of Texas in Austin, and the University of Southern California. It says on Tuesday night, there was a nationwide effort by school administrations and local police forces to disband pro-Palestinian protesters from campuses. And we're even seeing it here in Atlanta at Emory University, and I'm sure there's a lot more universities in which this is going on. But what I picked up, pretty similar to this guy, or to the author of this article, is that it seems like it is funded. And you could see the same tactics used with both BLM and Antifa protests, as well as what happened here in America, or in Babylon, at the Washington, D.C. Capitol Hill protest, or the storming of the Capitol on January 6th, as well as Brazil a couple years ago, where they stormed the Capitol as well. And you're seeing here in these college protests where they're storming, I guess, a main building within their campuses. I just saw a video yesterday. Atazawam, or Bishop, posted it in the group, and it showed at Emory they were storming the Capitol there, or not the Capitol, but one of the main buildings at the university. And then right here in this video, you could see, and I believe this is at Columbia University, but they're storming the building again. And so let's check this out.
First of all, we're saying that they're obligated to provide food.
Yeah, you could see it. See, they did the same exact thing as January 6th, and same thing they did down in Brazil, same thing in Emory, and they're doing it on these different campuses. And even the language that they're using, that's Marxist language. Speaking of liberation, this building is now liberated, is what she said. And that's Marxist phrasing. And so it's not that college campuses aren't a hub for Marxist ideology, but it shows a connection to me, at least. And this guy here is seeing the same connection. And this has been going on all across the country. Could check out a couple more of these. That's enough of that. But these different campuses are plunging into chaos.
Segregation!
And then down here you see simple Gad, our Native American brothers being pro-Israel protesters. They're out there with them. And they are simple. They should be on the highways and byways with us protesting this system that is in place and trying to wake up the elect. Instead, they're wasting their time trying to be all about Esau, all about Amalek. But we know how this devil works, and they go by what's called ordo ab chao, order out of chaos. And so they create the chaos, which you're seeing here with these different protests around the country, also that they could bring in the order. This is also called pressure from below, pressure from beneath. And so they'll have pressure coming from below, which is from these lower rungs, or from the citizens, from the students, and then from above, from big government, from big brother above, they come with their solution to all that chaos, which in this case, they just passed this bill. And this is probably their whole MO from the get-go. They wanted this bill passed, so they funded these college students to protest. A lot of them are out there unwittingly, but some of them are getting paid for this, just like those BLM people were getting paid, or the heads of it were getting paid. And they did it all to, in this case, with the college protest, they did it to have this bill passed. And it says, House passes GOP anti-S bill amid college unrest. And so it shows you it stems from these different protests and uproars, riots that are going on at these Ivy League schools and schools across the nation. And now this is passed to where it actually infringes on free speech, which constitutionalists should be all up in arms over this, because it's just more limits to free speech and more limits to their sacred constitution in which they have. And things like this bill could eventually and will eventually lead to the famine of the word, where the truth is no longer going out. And you can only speak in ways that big up the society. But we see them, we see what they're doing, and this just takes us one step closer to more prophecies coming across and to the end actually coming. But let's get to the scriptures. This is 2 Corinthians 2 and verse 11. Lest Satan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices. We are not ignorant of his order out of chaos schemes. We are not ignorant of his different false flags that he does, or the way that he words certain things, and that he, being Satan's people, the Edomites, the so-called white people, as well as those small hatters who that bill was aimed to protect, they're not white, they're red according to the Bible, and they are not the Lord's people. That is Amalek, and the rest of them of Caucasia are just Edomites from different tribes and whatnot, but those are Edomites. Those are not the Lord's people. Those aren't the true Christians. Those are the people that the Lord hates. While we're at it, not every single so-called white person or so-called small hatter is actually of the stock of Esau. They could be from the seed of Jacob, from the stock of Jacob, or from another nation. So it's not every single one, but for the most part, that helps to identify them. And especially the spirit, when you start talking to them and hearing how they think, it reveals, especially when you bring out the word to them, it reveals who they are, whether they are Amalek or of another nation, or actually of the royal seed of Jacob. But lest Satan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices. And we see the various subtle means that he has to get his point across, as you could say, or to go through his devices that he uses to push the really disorder that he wants. And since those students were acting in the way that they were, which, let's go back to the title of that article one more time, because it says, will campus chaos across America's woke universities spread to the streets? In which, Lord willing, it does, because we want this place to go down, and we want this nightmare that we're living in to come to an end. And whether or not this is sponsored chaos over there or not, these things can and eventually will lead to the prophecies coming to pass. So this is 2 Esdras 15 and verse 14. Woe to the world and them that dwell therein, for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh. And one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands. And what was going on at UCLA, where two factions going against one another. There was pro-Palestine against pro-Israel factions going one against another. And it says, "For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power." And you can see that what is going on now, and it's all began over there, Slovakia, in West Asia, with what happened October 7th, I believe. You can see that this is becoming a much larger issue, and it's spreading, and all that eventually, and Lord willing, because there's still probably more events to happen, but it's going to all lead to the Lord gathering all of the heathen armies into the valley of Jehoshaphat, where he's dried up the Euphrates for them to have a big old throwdown out there. But these people here, they are really protesting to their own destruction, because these protests are leading to more and more clampdowns here and around the world. Is going to become a world conflict, and with these different bills and these different forms of hate speech that they say you're not going to be able to speak on the small hatters, on Amalek, who is in fact the problem. That's who's sponsoring this chaos, and that's who pushes chaos, that's who's siphoning money off from these different nations, especially Babylon. And they've caught the public's eye. People now see them for what they are, and a lot of them even know that they are not the Lord's people, in which they aren't. That's Amalek, and that's the people that the Lord said he's going to have war with from generation to generation. He also said that they would be the first of the nations, but their latter end is to be no more. And so, Lord willing, that was edifying. I'd like to give all glory, praise, and honor to Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai Bahasham, Rakak Wadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of the great millstone, and Shalom to the elect of Israel. Shalom.